Hi, I'm Eric from Ion Software, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you another nice way how you can use Fusion's 3D locators to acquire 2D coordinates. The idea for this tutorial is based on a thread on the Pixfly forum, so thank you our users for supplying us with this idea. Right, so this is the sequence that I have, and what the director wants me to do is he wants me to replace this entire window front here. So he doesn't want to see that open window, but it should all be, without that lit area on the top here. It should all be dark. So that's a typical job, of course, for a corner positioner. But we also have the typical problem that, the pattern runs out of the screen and the entire sequence is taken from a car, so it's quite jittery and all that. Luckily, we do have a 3D track of the scene, so let's have a look at that. I just connect my loader to the camera and watch through the camera. Let me switch off the grid here and activate my point cloud. So this is my 3D track, which is quite decent. It's been done in Buju, and you see that none of the points in the point cloud are actually near the area I need to replace. So what I want to do is I want to add 3D locators. To do that, I also add a 3D render to my scene. This is set to OpenGL, and then I add a 3D locator and make this renderable. Now you can already see it in the image. So just to make it clear, I'm now watching a 2D image of the rendered scene, and in my second viewport I want to see my actual 3D scene from a perspective viewpoint. So just grab my locator here, let me zoom in into my 2D rendering, and without caring too much about the axis I move the locator in. I just take it and move it around and just line it somehow up to the top left corner of the image. I can zoom in into the 2D view, into the 3D view, so something like that. That is spot on. Well, I've done that only on one frame, and of course if I go back to another frame it will not be in the right position. So what I do now is I also bring up my camera, and in the locator I switch over to the 3D controls. Then I switch on my use target. What I want to do is I want the target of the 3D locator to be exactly at the camera's position at this very frame where I did the adjustment of the 3D locator. So what I do is I go to my camera, just copy the X position of the camera, paste it into the locator, same with Y, and same with Z, like so. So now the locator is still on the very position I put it to, but when I now move my camera, say back a couple of frames, I only take the blue axis on the 3D locators widget, so now I actually have to care about the axis, and move it in my scene until it lines up on that point again, like so. This is pretty much spot on, and believe it or not, it is spot on for the rest of the sequence. So that was a very, very quick fix. And obviously I can do the same using the script. So to make that even faster, I can add another 3D locator, because I want 4 of them. Again, go to a frame, say like here, make it renderable, move it around in the scene a little bit, maybe like so, and line it up with the upper right corner. Again, I don't care too much which axes I move it around with. Line it up, and then just right click, run a script, get target from camera. Well, so there's only one camera in my scene, so I select that one, and there we go. Move the camera forward a couple of frames. Well, maybe it would make sense to choose a frame where the feature is still in the frame. Take now only the blue axis of the 3D locator and move it in our scene until it visually lines up again. So you see that this is a much faster way to get your points than to retrack the scene. Of course, you could do a new feature tracking in your 3D tracking program, or you could use Fusion's 2D tracker to get all these positions right. But then, as I said before, this method is much faster, much easier to do. And there we go. Just attached a corner positioner to the 4 points of the 3D locator, and it is spot on with motion blur. So we came from here, we ended up there. The director is pleased, and this is a job which shouldn't take longer than like 15 minutes.